Well, I've done a weird thing. Some weirdo booked himself into my diary for the 1st of January, a complete stranger I didn't know, and booked himself in on a bank holiday. And all he said was, look at my LinkedIn profile, which I can't do because I'm not on LinkedIn. So what he did was, he turned out to be a bit of a gift, because he reminded me that I hadn't put in to 2019's online diary all the days and months I wanted to have off. So actually, what I've done pro tem is I've just gone in and turned off the whole of 2019.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show.
I'm gonna take my time. It's a brand new day. Gotta take it on my way. Gotta take it on my way. It's a brand new day. Gotta take it on my way.
Morning.
If you can hear me, the world can hear me, Judith.
Yes, good. Now, you start telling us about your week while I sort out this screen thing.
Okie dokes. Well, it's been very, very wet this week.
Oh.
Yes, and I've been doing lots of cozying up with blankets and things. I did something very brave last night. I went out to Right Club and somebody said, we're going out for dinner. So someone said no. So I said, well, I've got to get home before it gets dark, because otherwise I'll be having to haul wood in the dark.
Ooh.
So, yeah, exactly. So I didn't get home before it was dark. So I thought, okay, I've got two choices here. Either go without a fire this evening, the wood stove, or I just wrap up in my blanket, or I go out in the dark and I haul wood. So I have to go round the corner into my driveway. I thought I could put the car lights on, so that'll light up what I'm doing, and then you have to pull back the tarpaulin, and you have to get your gardening gloves on, and then I have to lift wood from the pile just up onto my balcony where I can access it from my living room. And I went out. I thought, it's dark out there. There's not many people around at all, which is good. But, I thought, this is ridiculous. What am I scared of? Do I really believe there are serial killers out there tonight? No, probably not. And what am I scared of then? Am I scared of animals? No, there's none of those around at this time of night. And I just thought, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to be scared and sit in the cold just because I'm a scaredy cat. So
I'm sorry. I need to recap. What you're saying, are you scared of the dark, period?
I am generally scared of the dark, period. Yes, I've got a very lively imagination, and my brain, ever since I was a small child, my brain has manufactured things in the dark.
Okay.
I'm getting better at the age of 57 at telling myself they're not really there, but
yeah,
so I have to do quite a lot of work on myself to not be scared of things.
Yeah.
So I was very proud of myself. Greece has been really good for me in that respect. I've done a lot of things.
You've had to be brave, yeah.
I've had to, yeah, completely. Yeah. So, so I sat there revelling in my lovely log wood-burning stove, which was roasty toasty, and I thought, I'm a brave person now.
And what time of the day or night was this?
Oh, it was about 5:30 in the evening.
That is funny, isn't it?
It is. But, what else has happened? Dave's Dining Club went to a new place. That was nice. Right Club, that was very nice, except half our members have gone home. So I've been looking up writing groups in Brighton, because I thought, I quite fancy going out while I'm at home, which is, in itself an interesting thing that I've got to that point. So I thought I could go and see if there's any writing groups to drop in, and there aren't. So I thought I could possibly put up a something on Meetup and just go to my local pub and see if anyone turns up.
Yes, that's a good idea. I think the reasons why there aren't is that you're coming home at the time of year where we do nothing for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, but, surely people get bored in between Christmas and New Year, don't they? A bit?
Well, I think they go and do other things.
Yeah, possibly.
I don't think anybody wants to do anything normal. It's like the school holidays in a way, which is a chance to do non-normal stuff.
Eating after eights and watching dodgy movies on the telly.
Well, or going for long bracing. Well, I don't know what people do, to be honest, but it's a break from the norm, which can be refreshing and can get you sort of gagging to go back to the bits of your life that you like. Yeah.
Okay. It's just that what I don't want to do is what I've done for the last 2 visits home, which is work and spend time with the kids and nothing else. You know, I'm feeling like I've got a couple of lunch dates lined up, but I'm feeling, you know, that I'd quite like, and I'm going to go and see Kim, obviously, but I'm just sort of feeling, I'm there for 2.5 weeks. I don't want to just sit indoors and watch telly or work.
No.
Or write.
Well, no, I will tell you it's very cold.
Okay, God.
Can you fly from Kalamata at this time of the year, or do you have to go to Athens?
No, I'm going to have to go to Athens, and worse than that, we have to get up at 4:30 in the morning to do it.
And it's tomorrow, isn't it?
No, next week.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Which date do you leave there on?
On the 19th.
Ah, okay.
And I come back on the 5th.
All right.
So, yes, in other news, Brad Pitt was 55 this week, which is a bit weird because I think of him as a youngster.
In Thelma and Louise?
Yes. And even Jake Gyllenhaal, who I think of as even more of a youngster, was 38 this week.
Well, unfortunately, I've just gone on Nicola, which probably is a good reason not to sit and do nothing on the South Coast for 3 weeks.
What, worrying about Brad Pitt getting older?
No, more that life goes on, don't let's waste it. It gets more precious the older we get.
Yes, absolutely, yes. So that's the thing. I think
actually, not that I think doing nothing constitutes wasting it. It's just you don't want to get to your deathbed. Well, I've been to a funeral this week, so we'll talk about it in a minute. But you don't want to get to your deathbed thinking, "Oh, I haven't done that yet."
Yes. No. I mean, I'm quite pleased with the way I'm ticking things off my list, but yeah, I just don't want to. I don't know. I just don't want to. I don't want to give myself the chance to get mopey. You know.
Yes.
And I can easily do that. And sure.
Well, yeah, I think it's the combination of. Well, I can tell you, it's a beautiful sunny day today, and about our third on the trot. But it's our first proper frost. It's damn cold. I'm almost in central heating 24 hours a day.
Well, I don't mind that. I will. I don't mind as long as it's bright.
It is. It's bright and sunny. Yeah, it is lovely and sunny. Yeah.
I'm just reminding me. I've got to go coat shopping one day. I could have a manicure, a pedicure, and then one of Phoebe's friends has just opened a beauty salon next to Kim's house, so I could go up and have some treatment.
Oh, double whammy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think there's plenty to do.
Okay, good. Yeah. Now, so let's tell everybody this is our Christmas show. Happy Christmas! It's our last recording before Christmas. It goes out on the 21st, and then we are having 3 weeks off. So our next show will be recorded on the 10th of January. We won't be back in your ears until the 11th of January, and you'll be back to the UK and then back to Stupa in that window, won't you?
Yes, I will. Yes.
Okay, so you'll be normal again by the 10th of January.
Yes. Oh God, it'll all be over by then.
So my week, I had dinner with my best friends last Saturday night. They live in on the South Bank, which is a very glamorous location, and also in the country. And they are absolutely lovely. She's a little bit older than me, somewhere between, say, 65 and 70. And he's exactly 10 years older than me, which makes him 73. But you wouldn't know it. They are youthful. Jane was wearing I don't know what you'd call it. What's a jumpsuit?
Oh.
Which is absolutely the toppest of trend, isn't it?
Well, I see Angel on Escape to the Chateau wearing jumpsuit.
Well, she was wearing a jumpsuit. She'd had her eyebrows microbladed, if you know what that means.
I do know what microblading is.
I mean, and the trendiest spectacles I'd ever seen. And he, who had a near-death experience about 2 or 3 summers ago, which was very upsetting, is very sprightly, very lively, a terribly brilliant, brainy man who's all over Twitter. And I hadn't seen them for, they thought it was 15 months, but actually it was 13 months. Well, he thought it was his birthday in July last year, but actually it was fireworks night last year. So it was 13 months. And as luck would have it, I saw them again on Monday, 48 hours later at the funeral, which was my oldest school friend's mother, as you know. And she was 89, and I thought she'd died from Alzheimer's because she was very confused, but she hadn't. In fact, she had osteoporosis, which is a horrible thing, and which is where all your skeleton, disintegrates, and your bones. And she was in a home already, and they weren't expecting her to die when she did, but she was 89. And I had so we had a conference on Friday night, them from central London and me from suburban London. What time are you leaving home? Which route are you taking? And they're slightly more worry types than me. So they were going to leave 3 hours to drive 6 miles. And I said, I don't think I need as long as that 2.5 perhaps. But as on Monday morning, I was ready. So I left 3.25 hours. And just as well I did, Nicola, because there was such a long delay on the M25. I had to come off it and use the geography in my head and my Maps app on my iPad to map read my way through the English countryside at top speed. And it was a bit like that opening scene in Four Weddings and a Funeral, where Hugh Grant is perennially late to everything. I don't know if you can remember that. The alarm clock goes off and he swears the F word quite a lot. He says FF, FTF. Yeah. Well, I was saying that out loud as I was driving through the countryside. But a little miracle, not only did I end up getting there with 20 minutes to spare in the end, which was good. I honestly thought I was going to be late. And I said to Leslie, who's known me since 1966, how often have you known me to be late? And she said, never. And I said, wouldn't it have been awful if I was late to your mother's funeral? And we had a bit of a laugh about that, but I wasn't. But as I was hurtling through the country lanes at slightly too fast a speed and scaring myself and worried that I was going to be late, my niece, who I was supposed to be having dinner with that night, texted me to say she was poorly, don't come. And I thought, well, I wonder what the big U's got in mind. And the funeral was at 12 noon. And then there was this delicious roast pork lunch in the local pub. And then the family, Jo, their mother, had spent 40 years living in Africa, born and brought up in Africa. And she used to make this fabulous curry. The family, of whom there were hordes, I would say, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, well, somewhere between, say, 20 and 40 people, so decided, had planned to go back to Leslie's farmhouse and have one of Jo's African curries. And I crashed that do because I didn't have to go back to London. And when I got to their house, I looked and I realised, oh my God, I'm the only person here who isn't a blood relative. So I went to her and I said, I realise I've crashed your family party. Is it all right for me to stay? And she said, we wouldn't have wanted any other way. So I stayed until 9:30 at night talking to, as you'll read in tomorrow's newsletter, all these people, one of whom, which would be Leslie's nephew-in-law, is in charge of all the BBC drama. So,
really?
Killing Eve, Mrs. Wilson, The Bodyguard. And almost everybody in the room was nearly as interesting. But he also is a complete feminist because he talked about, the female Doctor Who and what's coming up from that woman that writes Happy Valley and Last Tango. Lovely. And he wasn't talking, you could tell from his age. I don't know how old he was. Let's call him 29, he might be 31, not very old. You could tell from his age, he wasn't thinking of it like we do, where we see women in things and we think, yay, women. He was just thinking talent.
Yes. So he's completely not even...
he doesn't think, let's bring on women, you know?
Yeah, totally, I understand.
It's fabulous.
Very. What an exciting person to find.
Well, and his wife works in BBC News, but she's on maternity leave. And I wasn't quite so thrilled to meet somebody from the BBC News department, but I was thrilled to meet somebody from the BBC Drama department. Especially, I said, I am your customer avatar. BBC Drama is the only thing I watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I broadcast on a podcast.
Yes. And also I tell everybody on Facebook what I'm watching, and they all like to hear from me what I recommend out of BBC Drama's output.
Oh, you could be on a focus group or something.
Well, I wouldn't mind, as long as I didn't have to go to London or anything.
Yeah, right. Do it remotely.
Yeah. The last of three things in this section is that starting today, I've joined a 21-day tapping challenge because I've got time for it. I know what I'm doing with tapping. I always mean to do more of it. You have to do 5 to 7 minutes a day, and they send me a tapping script by email every day. Today's is about overwhelm, which, as it happens, I don't feel, but it doesn't matter. It's nice. I don't have to do any watching of videos to take part in it, which is a boon for me. And so by the time I talk to you next, I'll be able to tell you what have been the benefits, if any, of tapping every day for 3 weeks.
Oh, well, I'll be interested to hear.
Well, so will I. Yeah.
Are you tapping on anything in particular? Do you have to choose?
No, she's sending us scripts. So I think that there's a full range. I'll have tapped on everything by the time I speak to you next, okay. I think. Yeah. Now, tell me what's fueled your fire.
Well, funnily enough, it's an oldie but a goodie. Frank Kern has been doing quite a lot of interesting stuff recently. He took a sort of bit of a back seat while he built an agency, and then I don't know what he was up to for a while. He wasn't very much around, and he certainly wasn't aiming at the internet marketing, make money online space for a long time. But he suddenly popped up in my timeline doing lots of Facebook Live straight to camera in various locations, like his office, his car, etc., etc. And he's actually the first one I watched. He shared something really interesting. So I've carried on watching him whenever I see him. I find him very amusing anyway in his delivery. And he did share lots of good stuff. And then he started to talk about his book, Convert 2.0.
I think I've read the first. Sue O'Kell got me to read the first one of that.
Yeah, he did do another version of it. Well, what he's done is he's bolted a load of new stuff on the front of it. So you've got the old book, which still, he's gone through and made sure that it's still relevant.
Yeah,
he's got all the new stuff in front of it, and
that's the right way round, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes. So what happened was I was thinking I'm not buying that because I've probably read it, and because he often regurgitates things that he's done a long time ago, and I end up thinking I bought this already. So, and I resisted for about a week, and then funnily enough, my mentor just popped up on his forum and said, "Oh, I've just bought that Frank Kern book. I couldn't resist him any longer."
Yeah.
And we had a laugh, and I said, "Oh, I bought it the same day." It was basically a bot message that converted both of us. So he's been emailing, he's been doing Facebook Lives, and he's been doing bot messages, which are tailored to what you reply. So he did that very well, and I thought, "Oh, that's a good use of a bot." Anyway, I bought the book. I thought it was, what was it, $5.75 or something, and I did buy the upsell, which is a training for $27. And I thought, "Why am I buying this? I don't need it." But then I thought, I have got a lot more time on my hands at the moment, so it might entertain me over Christmas. And because he'd given so much value in the lives and the book, I read the book on Sunday lunchtime over my Sunday lunch, and made loads of notes of things I should do as a result of it. So he's still giving lots of value, and I thought the training will be entertaining. Anyway, it really did make me start thinking again, and I'll tell you what it made me decide to do in the project update section.
Oh, okay.
It's nice that someone who's so old school, I mean, Frank has been around since like 1999, and he can still keep rejuvenating himself and renovating himself and coming back with value still. Because a lot of people take the mickey out of him, because they all sort of take the mickey out of how much he spams you with email and all that, how many upsells there are and how some of the links don't work and all that stuff. But actually, at the end of the day, he's a very charismatic person who's also very clever, despite the down-home appearance he gives off.
I think he is perhaps one of the few people in the world I could bear to watch a Facebook Live by.
He's very funny.
Yeah, he's easy on the eye. Now, interestingly, the first thing that happened when I joined the 21-day tapping challenge, which, of course, as we all know, is bound to lead to some sell in the end, was an upsell in the opening email last night, the sort of joining instructions to buy a sort of a book that, an ebook that accelerates your pace by 3 times in one direction and 2 times in the other direction. And I'm pleased to say I didn't go for that, because actually all I want out of it is 21 days of tapping. I don't want any upsells at any point, really. Yeah. And also, unlike Frank, I didn't know this woman from Adam.
Yes, so you didn't have the trust factor.
No.
Not yet.
And also, I'm quite an expert at tapping already myself, so I wasn't vulnerable to the upsell messages.
Yeah. I don't think upsells are a bad thing.
No, neither do I. No, I agree with you. Yeah.
I was trying to resist them because I thought I probably know it already. But as I was proved wrong, it then led me further down the path of thinking, perhaps he has got some new stuff to share. And he did. Different ways of thinking. So I don't mind an upsell at all.
Well, $5 to make you think differently is quite a reasonable investment, I think.
Yeah, and it kept me entertained over my long, lingering Sunday lunch in Melissa's Tavern.
I think the thing that annoys me slightly about upsells is if I fall for the first one, there's immediately another one, and then you get into this long loop that you can't get out of, because all the logic is it makes more sense if you've bought that one if you buy this one. Do you know what I mean? It's like
done well, it does.
It's a slippery slope. Yeah,
you'd have been all right with this because it was all video upsells, so you'd have just.
I could have resisted it. Yes.
Yeah, you would have just pressed the no thanks button.
Yeah.
What I did after the $27.
Yes.
I thought, no, I'm not paying $297 for it.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
But you can't blame the man, and that's how he pays for the advertising to advertise the book. And actually, both of those examples we've just talked about show that books are not dead. A lot of people sort of say you can't offer a book. Nobody wants a book now because nobody ever reads it. Actually, I did. I bought it and then I read it, and yes. Now I'm going to action it. So books. But
we like reading.
That's true.
We like books and we like reading.
That's true. Unlike the younger generation.
I'm not sure that's totally true, is it? But we'll find out. You notice whether your kids are reading anything over Christmas?
No.
No, okay.
Is the answer.
Okay.
My two haven't always, they like having things read to them, but apart from the Harry Potter books, they haven't really read much since, I don't think.
But Harry Potter did seduce a lot of children into reading, or loving reading, or certainly plugging into their, the audio version.
Yeah. I think Phoebes reads on holiday, and Nelson certainly reads a bit on holiday, but yeah, anyway, I didn't see him doing much of it, that's for sure.
No.
Right.
So it's technically the end of my Christmas term tonight at 8:30, which is the end of my the last group call that I'm running in 2018. And this has brought on a small frenzy of out with the old, in with the new. I'm going to archive both of my low carb groups over the next 2 or 3 days, both of them were 90 days. One started in July and one started in September. Technically, that's a sort of finite project. I don't often do finite projects. All my coaching groups and my coaching relationships are ongoing forever until you've had enough. So it feels quite like putting them to bed. I'm not sure I'll ever do low carb coaching again, but never say never. I've taken it off my Facebook shop, for instance, and I've taken the page off my nav bar. But I love tidying up loose ends because it makes way for the new. Do you remember what we always used to do in the olden days when we wanted new clients? We would open up new empty folders. Do you remember?
Yes.
Some clients have already asked me to give them a nudge on the 7th of January, and I've received some nice invitations for 2019, nothing to do with work. Kath, who's a sometime client and a listener to our show and contributed to our 200th, she and I are going to Tom Kerridge's Bar and Grill, inspired that by a Corinthia TV programme. Yeah, so we've booked it for March, believe it or not. And Jane and David, who I saw on Friday night, have invited me to a piano concert at the Royal Festival Hall on the 2nd of February. I'm sure there are more, but I haven't there's something I haven't done. Well, I've done a weird thing. Some weirdo booked himself into my diary for the 1st of January, a complete stranger I didn't know, and booked himself in on a bank holiday. And all he said was, look at my LinkedIn profile, which I can't do because I'm not on LinkedIn. So what he did was, he turned out to be a bit of a gift, because he reminded me that I hadn't put in to 2019's online diary all the days and months I wanted to have off. So actually what I've done pro tem is I've just gone in and turned off the whole of 2019 so that people can't book themselves in until I'm ready.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And I may not be ready. Well, might have the sabbatical.
You might. Saying that.
Yeah, I might. It's 50-50. And you know what it depends on. Anyway, so what's fueling my fire? Out with the old, in with the new. Now, shall we move swiftly along to our focus of the week?
Yes, go on then.
I think this is rather a good one for the Christmas episode, and it's been sent in by a listener who asked us if we would like to debate the nature of friendship. So I'm going to read you, as by way of a lead-in, an edited version of the conversation that we had on Private Messenger.
Okay.
She said, something I've been pondering a lot this year is the nature of friendships, how they change over time, those that last, those that don't. Is it me or is it them? There are lots of memes about being true to who you are, but then people don't always like that, and it can be quite a lonely place for a time at least. There have been a number of instances over the last few years, well, decade actually, since having my first child, that have made me think about the nature of friendships. I said, I think this is a fascinating topic. The number of friends I've retained over my adult life is about 4 to 6, and everybody else has been passing through, and they were fun to be with for a while, and that's probably okay, I think. Of course, I'm much older than the lady that's communicating with us today, and it was probably difficult at the time when they were all coming and going, but the good ones tend to stick around. I told her I thought it was a bit like a sieve with different sized holes, and most people slip through. And she said, it's exactly that perspective I'd like to hear. A lot of people have passed through over the past few years, and many times I felt it's been around choices that I've made about the children. So hearing from someone who hasn't had them is also interesting. And I said, my observation is that children bring people together for short, medium, and long times. Being single without kids while everybody else was doing it was quite hard. Not because I wanted children, but because I couldn't join in. They were all obsessed with their wretched little people. And she said, if there's a similar pattern of people maybe not approving of my life choices and drifting away, I asked her, was it about approval? I always think it's about what you have in common that binds you together as a friend. And she said, I have felt, in one case, expressly told that the choice to home educate my children has been so challenging that they've not wanted to spend time with me. More than one occasion, actually, and some have been similarly challenged by my not returning to my scientific career. It's like I've let the side down by staying at home with the children. To which I said, our life choices make them think about their own, and I think that's quite painful. And she ends by saying, also, because these choices have left us with little disposable income, me and my husband, haven't been able to travel to see people and keep up old friendships with people because we've had other stuff in common with. But making friends with other people with children doesn't always work out either, because sometimes you have very little in common except the fact that you've procreated. Now, it ends on a jolly note. She says, I think I've been inspired a bit by my mum, who moved to be closer to us a few years ago and now has the widest circle of friends I've ever seen. She's 77. In that, it's always possible to make new ones. I found it a bit weird running a business as well, where people get close if they think you'll be useful to them. I'm not very good at politicking, and I tend to get hurt. Now, I think that resonates, don't you?
Well, all that last bit does, that's for sure.
At many different levels, I think.
Yeah. Well, talk about your friendships history first.
I think more people have always wanted to be my friend than I've wanted to have as my friend. I think I'm very happy with few good friendships, and there have been some people I've had to push out of my life. Not, I think, for their criticisms of my life choices. I think they just go away if they that. But I think where we don't share values, I'm not interested in having them in my life, or where they're difficult, or where they disrupt my peace, my mental peace. I think going to boarding school made it easy for me to make friends, but I'm not interested in friends for the sake of friendship. I'm very self-contained, self-reliant. But I have been hurt many, many times by people doing that, and I know you have too. But I don't see if it happens in my life that people want to be friends for me because I'll be useful to them in business. I've not noticed that. Now, it doesn't mean they haven't tried. It just means I haven't noticed. And I don't really want the widest circle of friends either now at 63 or at 77. So I have felt some of the pains this woman's describing. I know some of the difficulties in my close personal relationships are because of my life choices and viewpoints and values. For instance, my sister-in-law's number one value is kindness and mine is honesty, and those two are frequently at odds, and that causes us both pain. Yeah. But that's really all I have to say on this topic, actually. It's not that you start me off, Nicola, and let's see where it goes.
Well, I made some notes about this, thinking over the years. As a child, I was incredibly a bookworm, and I was very shy and very different to everyone else. But I had friends. I had one friend called Debbie Barwick. She was very thin and attractive, and I wasn't particularly. But she was good to be friends with. Then I went on to Jane. Can't remember her second name now, but then swiftly, I was very lucky. At 15 years old, I started going out with a boy called Jimmy, and his best friend was a girl, and her name was Kim. Mm. And her parents moved very swiftly to just around the corner from my parents. So I think proximity helps, definitely. But I really got on with Kim. She was very, very much a rebel. She was fiercely intelligent. And I think that's one of my criteria for real friendship. My friends, I have to respect them, and there has to be a lot of laughter. I like fiercely intelligent people. And so Kim and I became, the boyfriend, went his way about a year and a half later, but we've remained friends ever since. Funnily enough, the only time we've ever had challenges in our friendship was been around when we were both parenting, because she had very strong and very traditional views about schooling and behaviour and all that stuff. And I had pretty much the exact opposite views. So we often had to stop conversations because we were going to get into a row about the way I was parenting, which she felt was too bohemian, if you like. Well,
and given that you began this by telling us that as a child you were a rebel, no surprise that you would have bohemian choices about your children.
Yeah, and also, I suppose so, yes. And she led a much more traditional life than I am. I remember that when we sat in Brown's when we were about 19, Brown's restaurant in Brighton, when we were about 19, and she said, I was talking about us moving to London, and she said, "Oh, I'm not coming." And I remember feeling that absolute bottom dropping out of my world, because I assumed that we wanted the same things, and it turned out we didn't. And she stayed in Brighton, and she was always much happier being a big fish in a small pond, whereas I wanted potential and possibility and opportunity and the unknown, so I was very different, but we stayed friends. And then when I met Irving, we became much closer again, because Irving and her husband got on really, really well. So they used to occasionally meet up for drinks without us even, so that was a very compatible friendship. I've got 3 sisters and a brother. My 2 sisters I'm really close to. My brother came to Greece recently, and I think that's given me a relationship that I will nurture over the years. So I think when you grow up in a big family, you have this sort of sense of belonging that means you don't necessarily need as many friends, especially if you get on with your siblings. Moving here has been an absolute revelation to me, because I came here with just Sarah, and I didn't actually have that many friends in England. I had lots of business acquaintances who I liked, and I had people I could always ring up and go for a drink with or whatever. But when I came here, I thought, my life had shrunk to such a degree. It was unreal, really. And going into tavernas here, getting to know people, being introduced to people, then they introduce you to other people. I've got the widest circle of friends out here that I've ever had.
And would you call them all friends?
I would call a good 6. I would call a good 10 of them friends.
Because the reason I say that is because when one's an expat, which you are effectively, and Leslie, my friend that I've known since 1966, was for a long time, and her parents were, and my parents were, you just tend to bring anybody home for dinner because they're there and need that. It's different criteria when you're abroad in a funny sort of way.
I would say I've got 10 people who I count as friends here, and that includes husbands sometimes as well. I've got a good 20 odd people who I would say are close acquaintances, who I like their company well enough to sit next to them at a table. Yeah. And then there's a good 40 to 60 that I'll never have anything to do with, and they won't have anything to do with me, because we've got completely different interests.
Yeah.
Or ways of doing things, or ways of behaving and being.
Yes.
Some people don't like to party, some people like to party.
Yeah.
And they're all varied ages now. I mean, my friends are actually much older than me. They go from sort of 60 to 80.
Yes.
And it's all about whether they've had interesting lives, or they hold their own in conversation, whether they've got, make you laugh unexpectedly.
Oh, that's what I said about Jane and David, wasn't it?
Absolutely, It upsets me a lot when I lose someone as a friend, because I don't give my close friendship easily, and there have been 2 people in my life that you know about.
Yes, I do.
That behaved very strangely. And I still, to this day, have got no idea what went wrong. I don't know how they could have thought. It's a bit like you with your sister-in-law. I don't know how they could have thought that I would have done the thing that they thought I'd done.
I know.
And it still hurts to think about it.
Yeah.
So I am a little bit wary. Actually, that's not true. I'm not wary at all. I open my heart very easily, and I assume that everyone's going to be nice and good and kind and loyal. So it absolutely mystifies me when it goes wrong like that.
Yeah, and I think it should. Something happened to me recently, and I can't remember exactly who it was or what it was, but I remember thinking, I wonder what it is they think I've said or done.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that I'd said or done anything.
Yeah. Weird, isn't it? And I was thinking, here you go, brace yourself, I've been thinking about our friendship.
Okay.
And I don't know that I would say that we are friends, buddies, but I definitely have an enormous amount of respect for you. I really enjoy your company. I love pitching up every week and talking to you. You make me laugh all the time. And you are one of the few people, this is my criteria for friendship, right? If someone rang you in the middle of the night and needed you, would you go? Yes, I bloody would. So, and I know that you would grumble, but you would do it for me too.
I don't think we are friends, actually, in the way that you say, but I am amazed by how much you make me laugh. When I listen back to these shows, I it's like, listen to me laughing at her. I mean, and with her. You do make me laugh a lot, actually, and we are very different.
Yeah, we are very different, and I think that's why we wouldn't necessarily, if we had the proximity thing, I don't know that we'd spend.
No, I agree with you, because I think, well, you are sociable. I'm not a party animal. I think what makes us good in this and in business is what wouldn't make us good mates in real life.
Very different, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
But middle of the night, Don't hesitate to call.
Oh, no, quite. Yes, yes. Well, I think that's about being a good person. One of the people I've shoved out of my life deliberately in recent years because she just made me so stressed. The day her 18-year-old niece died on her 18th birthday, I took her to the hospital. Of course I did. You do that as a decent human being.
Yes, but there's a somewhere in between there. So there's people I would not hesitate to go and help. There are people that I would not help if I could avoid it. And then there's being caught on the spot and having to be a decent human being even if you don't want to be.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. It was that friendship with her was stressful. Being there for her certainly wasn't.
Yeah. Is it okay, let's talk about drama. Because in recent years, I've definitely, although I used to be very a drama queen in my own life, I've tried not to be in recent years.
You've got a lot better. I remember you came to stay with me one night and I went, oh, never again. We had to phone Steve. We had to phone Steve. Where's my hairdryer? Where's my mascara? I remember.
I don't. No, I wouldn't have asked him where my.
You were very princessy. You did. You were very princessy in those days. But it was a long time ago.
And he largely kicked that out of me. So.
Yes, I know he did. And
I'm glad he did because
I agree.
I find those people now very stressful.
Yes, quite.
So that is something that I try and avoid. People, and the other thing I try and avoid now is people who speak negatively about people and people who are constantly gossiping. I mean, there is a faction out here who I strenuously avoid because I've heard stories about how they turn on people and gossip about people, and I've actually seen it in action, and it's very unattractive.
Yeah, you've described that to us before, and I think our questioner today will remember that show, and maybe that made her think it was okay to, talk about this. I'm glad she's brought this up, actually, because I do think friends can be, all colours of the rainbow in terms of easy to be friends, difficult. So Leslie, for instance, on Monday, we've known each other for however long that is. I worked out when I was sitting in the crematorium and saw her mother's dates of birth that when Leslie and I first met each other, our mothers, who were born in 1929, were not yet 40.
God.
I know, I'm 63, okay? So our mothers, who you always think of being as old people, were not yet 40 when we first met. So our mothers were young women, which is why I had a chance to be friends with Jo. And Jo always sent me a Christmas card forever and was a jolly, sociable person. But Leslie and I have frequently fallen out over those 50 years and sometimes not spoken to each other for quite a long time because she's quite volatile. And she brings up strong feelings in me. So, and sometimes I've had to take action to protect myself. And sometimes she withdraws from me if I annoy her. And, knowing that I know all of those things, when I realized that I'd crashed this party on Monday night, as I drove home afterwards, I thought, well, actually, we've healed the thing where I annoyed her the last time we met and she hadn't been speaking to me and didn't return my phone calls. Some friendships are, I won't ever blow that one because we've known each other for so long, but I have many easier friendships than that.
Yeah. It's interesting because I have a gut feeling as soon as I meet someone, whether I like being around them. And that's something to do with their honesty and groundedness. They have to make me laugh. They have to be intelligent, but I also have to feel safe and comfortable around them. And I only feel safe and comfortable around people who give off this. It's an energetic thing, definitely. It's like, I remember the first time you walked down the hallway at the occasional night and Steve and I both took one look at you and thought, we're going to like her.
Well, what you see is what you get with me. Yeah. And that's what you said, isn't it? I've got no hidden agendas. If I've got an agenda, you'll know about it.
Very sweet.
I agree with you, actually, that, well, for me, it's similar but slightly different, is I like people who bring rather than take. Now, not that friendship isn't give and take, and you're happy to have an opportunity to give when they're asking for something, but it's rare. And if people just want and want and want and want, I find just exhausting. And if it's all noise and all emails and phone calls and endlessness, with these people on Saturday night, Leslie introduced me to them in about 1979, and they are solid good people. And twice he's been quite seriously ill. Once she was abroad. She called me from South Africa to say, David's been taken to hospital. Can you go and do what I would do if I were there? Delighted. But then he was quite difficult. I remember he had a very, and I was a bit grumpy with them for a bit because he wasn't ordinarily demanding. He was exceptionally demanding. Could I have a bar of this sort of chocolate and a sandwich from this shop? And I'd like a novel, but only this one. And I remember it was pouring with rain and I was terribly busy and it was like, oh, it's just over the top. But I think I don't know what it is. I like calm people.
Yes.
I like calm people who exude love. I also need them to be clever and funny. And I know when I go to Jane and David's, they're just going to love me without agenda.
Yeah. That is so important. And that's the joy. Just to let you know, there's a massive roll of thunder a minute ago. So if the internet goes off, that's
okay.
I need to... The joy of friends who've known you for years, if they know that everything you've been through, is so relaxing because you don't have to explain everything.
No, you don't have to explain. But let's go back to the having children thing because it reminds me of when we all first became self-employed. When you go through big things like having a baby or leaving the day job, you want to be with your peer group. So the NCT, for mothers, the first time, I think is a fabulous resource. And similarly, when you're self-employed, you can't really be bothered with people in jobs because they don't understand. I do think we want a peer group around us.
I was very lucky in that the peer group that we had in Brighton when we were late teens, early 20s, all started having children at the same time I did. Even though I was a bit later, everyone else was a bit later too. Kim had one, so she had a 9 or 10-year-old, but then she had another one at the same time we all had our first. So we all ended up going to, and several of those people were very hospitable. 2 or 3 had big houses, Kim amongst them, and they all used to do things like Sunday lunches. Our social life swapped to lunch times.
Yes.
And all the children grew up together, so they've all got a good peer group of friends that they don't necessarily spend a lot of time with each other. They've all got that shared history.
Yes.
And remember the times when the parents had to be put to bed and things like that.
And that was they were already your friends. So in this example of our correspondent, and on Monday at the funeral, I met a woman who had come to the funeral because she met Leslie when they were having babies. So that would have been 32 years ago. Now, I don't think most people still know people from their NCT group, but I posted yesterday the Christmas cards here for the people who are in Argentina, and there were a lot of them, and a lot of them were local. And I thought to myself, I bet she had a baby with that person, 35 years ago. I do think some people from those days last, but just not very many. If you're fortunate enough to meet people in those peer group things that have these qualities that we've described.
Yeah. I actually actively avoided NCT.
Yeah.
And then actively avoided, I did drop and run at the school gates because I didn't want to be standing there chatting about.
No, so you knew there were no friends in the parents at school. Yeah. And there's 2 points in this message, this our correspondent makes, which are quite painful, which is people have been challenged by my choice to home educate my child and my choice not to return to my career. That's people judging her.
Yeah, absolutely. Very judgy.
Well, horrid.
Yeah, and none of their business.
No, and all them, not her. Nothing wrong with our correspondent. All them, horrid people. Yeah, and not worthy of you, I think.
And I think that's when Kim and I had our stressful times, was when she was judging me because I wasn't forcing my children to go through further education and do all that.
Yes.
Funnily enough, my children chose voluntarily to do further education, but not, her daughter's training. Well, one of them's very big in the arts world, which is where her husband had his job. And then her other one is training to be an architect. 8 years later, still training to be an architect.
Yes.
Obviously going to be really good at it because winning prizes.
Yes.
Absolutely overjoyed for them.
Yes.
But it wouldn't have been the right path for my 2.
No.
And I knew that. I knew who my children were, and I wasn't
Yes.
ever going to, a bit like your correspondent.
Yeah.
Not, I actually think if I had my time again, I would have homeschooled them.
Yes.
I
think you've got, in this case, I know this woman a little. To thine own self be true. And if that means your friendship group is smaller, we're both saying at about 20 years older than you, that's not a problem in the end, love. Stick by the good ones, attract the good ones, attract people to you who admire you for your life choices.
Yeah. And the ending on a really happy note, if we're coming to the end of this conversation, we might not be.
Yes, we are.
I am overjoyed. One of the things that I'm most grateful for coming out here and meeting the Right Club ladies is that I know that I can go anywhere in the world now, join a writing group and make friends quickly.
Yes.
Or acquaintances to start.
Well, you see, that bears up my point that I said to our correspondents, which is, for me, it's about what we've got in common.
Yes, I agree. And yes, I mean, I also know I could walk into any business, like networking thing and meet people there, because that's another thing I'm interested in.
Yes.
And
I think that binds people together, not just history. I think, in fact, the people that you're bound to via history, you play act at it a bit. It has to be something that's constantly renewing, that keeps you fascinated by each other a bit.
Yeah, because I was talking to Sarah. She went for a walk on Sunday on her own, and I said, what you really need if you enjoy walking, and she does, is to join some sort of walking group.
Yes.
And she said, yes, I should. And the thing is, in walking groups, though, that's an interesting one, because you'll end up with all different kinds of people in there. The only thing that they have in common is they like walking. But there's bound to be at least 2 or 3 in each.
I agree. Totally agree with you. And the UK is very well served for walking groups. And there are several women that I follow on Facebook whose lives have been completely transformed, not just Heather Waring that we spoke to, but 2 women whose lives have been completely transformed, including meeting Mr. Wright, by walking. Well,
I think that's where Sarah's most likely to read.
I agree with you. Mr.
Wright with stout boots.
Yes.
and a carved stick and woolly socks.
Yes.
And a George Clooney-like beard growing on.
And also it's similar, which is, we can only pursue interests we're actually interested in. We can't pay lip service to that either.
And I think that's another thing about, relationships is the marriages that seem to last are the ones where they've either got nothing in common and separate interests. Because out here, a lot of the guys do different things.
Yeah.
They're a little bit of an older age group, but they get together and they do things like, repair and renovate a boat.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
But then there are other people like Heather and Roy who have a lot in common, and they spend a lot of time together because they enjoy the same interests.
Yes.
So
nice.
I think either works for friendships as well as relationships.
Yes, it does. So I think we're saying take heart. I think it might be a phase.
Yeah. Yes. And the other thing is, nobody's going to come and bang on your door and winkle you out of your house. You have to actually get out.
Well, that's my favourite one. I said that in an email to somebody yesterday. When we were little, people used to come and ring the doorbell and say, can Judith come out to play? When I was in Yeovil for that week before I came up here, the half-term week at the end of October, a gorgeous little boy came to the door and said, whatever his name is he in? And I went, no, he's in Cyprus on his holidays. But the point is, somebody came round to ask him out to play, and that only happens when you're a child. Well, no, actually it doesn't. People phone up in adult life and say you're coming out for a drink, but mostly you have to get out of the house and offer yourself, don't you? And that, I can see for this lady that would be tricky because as she said, they haven't got much money, so they can't travel and they can't spend it because of the life choices they've made. But more power to you for your life choice, honestly.
And that's where virtual groups come in really, really handy, isn't it? I mean, I've been looking for writing groups in Brighton today, and I've come across Writers HQ, who've got a number of meetups going on in various towns, and it's really good operation by the looks of it.
But also this lady is in our virtual group. She listens to the podcast and she's written in with a focus.
Yeah, she might enjoy Write Club, the podcast, as well. So
she might, if she's a reader, she might. Yes,
if she's a reader.
Or a writer. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, so go find yourself some online groups just until you get to the point where you can go out and find some real world groups.
I mean, I think our heart goes out to you because we've all been there, and friendship, like everything, like romance, everything has good and bad, doesn't it?
Yes, the light and shade.
Thunder
and rain.
I can hear. It doesn't sound like that. It sounds like you rubbing your microphone against your neck.
Well, I can assure you, I'm not. It's thunder and rain.
It's not big, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right, so we're on to Word of the Week, aren't we?
We are. You want to go first?
Anticipation.
Oh, my favourite song by Carly Simon.
Is it?
Yes.
Well, the shadow side of that is anxiety. I'm trying to reframe my anxiety about next Wednesday's travel in anticipation of seeing the children.
I think once you start it, it'll be fine, won't it?
Yeah, it's just getting up at that time. I blooming hate it. I'm always, I won't sleep. I'll be worried I'll oversleep. I'll have dreams about oversleeping, and then getting up at 4:30 in the morning to get ready to go at 5:30 in the morning, and then I have to go around and close all the shutters in the dark. I'm just not looking forward to that.
All of that is exactly what happened to me on Sunday night. I didn't sleep before going to the funeral, so you're perfectly normal.
Yes, okay, fine. But I am really looking forward to seeing Phoebe and Nelson.
Yeah, that feeling is in the word anticipation, I think.
Yeah, good. What about you?
Mine is service, inspired by Thomas Cox and the Corinthia Hotel and those lovely people who talk in such a wonderful way about being in the hospitality industry, and which is so devalued in the UK, but the Europeans and the international people love it and are really good at it and deserve all the success that they achieve together and separately by having that marvellous mindset.
I love that programme.
I know, it's brilliant, isn't it? I think it's probably third and final episode tonight, probably. I don't think it can run and run, can it?
No, but I love all of them. There was one about, was it Savoy? And there was one about...
yes, well, Thomas Cox was in the one about Claridge's before. He's already a bit of a TV star.
Yes, he is too, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's so twinkly, isn't he?
He is very twinkly, and you wouldn't expect that from a German.
He hasn't. No, I agree. In fact, for ages, I kept telling people he was Swiss because I couldn't align that with his being German. But he's sort of a Brit as well, in a way. He's a Euro Brit, isn't he? Because he loves being in London. His career has been in London, and he has a ferocious eye for detail. But he never loses his sense of humour and lightness of touch. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's quite amazing. I'm loving it as well.
Good. Project updates?
I have several.
Okay, I have something, but you go first.
You
okay. So I often sell my listening vouchers during December, and yesterday I got them in my Facebook shop, and so that had its first automatic share on Facebook. And tomorrow my newsletter is all about this listening, talking, and conversation. So that's all ready. I realised I had something I wanted to shift in December, and one of my clients who bought it once before bought a bunch of listening vouchers and draws them down. She also converted some of it to being in the low carb group. So, money is money. I don't mind how they spend it.
Vouchers are vouchers. Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you go.
Okay, so I'm still tentatively going along the it's got a name now. It's called writingclubworld.com.
Okay, yes, good.
And I found my preferred software chap. We've had a lot of conversation. One of the reasons a software guy is good is he asks you lots of questions, and he's been asking me lots of questions over the last week. The money's in his scroll. He thinks it will take 2 weeks, which will be astonishing if it's true. And he's doing it interestingly. You expect software to be written on obscure code stuff. But he said, I don't know whether I want to do this as a WordPress plugin or a WordPress theme. And he's actually decided to do it as a WordPress theme. So it's interesting that software that has functionality can be designed into a theme. I never knew that, but it's interesting stuff. And I must have bought 10 domain names for this, Judith. And I'd settled on Writing Club World. And actually, I prefer Write Club World. But Writing Club gets more searches than Write Club.
Okay.
And Write Club World I decided on writeclubglobal.com, and then Sarah said it sounds a little bit corporate. I think, what about Write Club World? It sounds more friendly and cozy. And I suppose for this sort of market, I'm still not convinced about it, but domain name's not important. You can always move the whole site if you want to. I was going to ask your opinion about that.
I like it. I like Writing Club for the reason that you've said, and I much prefer world to global.
Oh, okay then. Well, I thought you might actually. So I'm going to stay with it.
For the same reason as Sarah said, actually, and often she and I share opinions. World is friendlier, and also your members will want friendly because they're an isolated worrier that their writing's not good enough. And I think it'll be more attractive to the ideal client.
Yes. Okay. Cool. And so that's going on ahead, and I'll be able to tell you about that after Christmas, which would be nice. And the other thing was that looking at Frank's book, I was thinking to myself, because I've got a really good book called How to Market Any Business Online, which is a bit of an unwieldy title, and it's still got a lot of really good content in it. It needs a tiny bit of updating. And then I've got a report called Be Everywhere Online, and I thought I could combine the two into a brand new book. And he called his Convert 2.0. So I was thinking, what could I call mine that covers because the second bit's all about how to do it. The first bit's about what to do and why you need to do it. So it does work really well together. So I was thinking I could call it attract. So he's called Hid Convert. Mine's about how to attract the right people to you. So I'm thinking about attract or attraction. Word.
I like it. It's a bit oblique, but it's less meaningful than convert, I think. I think convert is quite clearly a sales word. If you understand sales and you're looking at getting better at sales. Attract could be, your ideal life partner. I like it, obviously, because we like the concept of attraction marketing. And you can make it work by explaining it.
Yes, the strap line is going to be, well, actually, I'm working on the book cover at the moment. So it's Attraction Marketing 2.0, or it could be Attract. I'm not sure if Attract or Attraction. Attraction could be about, there we go. No, that doesn't work, does it? Attraction Marketing 2.0.
That's a bit ugly then, isn't it?
Yeah. But then it's the aim of marketing is to make selling superfluous. And that's a Peter Drucker quote. I'm going to put his name in there in a minute. And then, I don't know, I'm going to do various book covers, backgrounds. This is the one that came with it. Did you know that Canva do book covers template?
I think I did my book cover on Canva.
Well, there you go. I was very impressed.
Yeah.
Because I'm really rubbish at this sort of graphic design generally, so I love Canva. So anyway, I thought I'm going to do that. I'm going to relaunch it. The point about this is Facebook marketing, Facebook advertising, they love you to be really transparent about what you're selling. So I thought I'd start selling this as my main book because I can sell it on And
well, if it's going to be your main book, I'm all right with the word because it means you get gazillions of opportunities to explain it over and over.
Yeah. Attraction marketing. It's attraction marketing, isn't it? Attract.
It's an attraction marketing looks all right on the cover like that.
Yeah.
I suppose a strapline is about being everywhere online, is it?
Well, it's how to attract, how to find, attract, and convert your ideal client. That's the strapline. So
do you need to teach them how to convert? Given that Frank's done that?
Yeah, but he does it in a different way.
Okay.
So, and I need three things. Dum 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 dum.
Okay. Well, it's a work in progress, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So anyway, that's what I'm going to be working on because I need front end things for my Clicks and Leads Academy. I mean, to be honest, it's going really well. I've had 2 new clients sign up for a year in early December, so I'm really happy with the way it's going. And my retention figure from 1 year to the next is about 35%, so I'm really happy with that as well. But you need front end offers on a membership site, and I was thinking that this could be one that Facebook wouldn't object to because Facebook don't really like my be everywhere online concept.
Okay.
They've decided in their wisdom, or the algorithm has decided in its wisdom, that it's multi-level marketing. And I don't know where they think that, but
can you run a Facebook ad to this before you create it to see that it passes their thing?
Oh, good idea.
Thank you very much. Well, you know who taught us that? It's called a goldmine ad. Jill. Yes.
I could run 3 different titles and see
exactly. And you could also run it to make sure that Facebook will let you run it before you've got anything on the back end. So don't bother to go and bolt these 2 books together until you know that you're actually going to be able to sell it via Facebook.
Get clicks. I could send them to a page that describes what the book's about.
Yes.
Saying what the title is. And
no.
Swapped in.
And yes, exactly.
Oh, very nice, Judith. Very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, tick that one.
Did you have another one in here? I thought you said you've got 3.
No, I'm going to do 3. I haven't done them yet.
No, I mean, Writing Club World, Attraction Marketing.
No, that's it. Just the 2.
Okay. Okay, marvellous. Now, who or what's impressed?
The MasterChef professionals. There's been a lot of furore about the 2 black candidates going out, who were absolutely brilliant. But I watched the episode last night that everyone's been talking about, and to be honest, they were not the best chefs on the night. And the 2 people that were chosen was Matthew, 23 years old, already head chef in a Mayfair fine dining establishment, and Dean, 29, who's a private chef for multimillionaires and travels the world cooking for people. And they've both stood out from day one. So I don't think there's any racism at work here. Just because they're white and white and men, because one of the black people who went out was a lady as well. So
I don't think you'd ever accuse the MasterChef judges of being racist. You can accuse the Great British voting public of being racist, but
no, Twitter are accusing the judges of being
racist. Well, they
Which
can
is
pack
rubbish.
that in. Yeah.
Because Monica Galetti is a black woman herself. So
Well, I don't know what she is really, but she's interesting, isn't she?
yeah, she was. She's mixed race, definitely.
Yes. Yes, she is.
Just because she dyes her hair blonde doesn't make her white.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. And she actually, like my man Thomas Cox, is obsessed with high quality service.
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't she?
Herself,
She's a real details woman. Yeah.
And the Matthew and Dean. I mean, there's a couple of others who are really, really good too. But right from episode, I mean, they haven't put a foot wrong, either of them, and they consistently come up with amazing, amazing food. So I just think it's a storm in a teacup over nothing, really.
It's annoying though. It's annoying because it's one of the things that upsets me about the world is maybe some of these people are right and maybe they're wrong. There's always exceptions. We have it on Strictly when the black people get voted off. There's racism, but quite often the black people win as well, like they did on X Factor,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it doesn't add up, does it?
No. What about you then?
Yes. Well, I think you probably saw me share this on Facebook. 5 old age pensioner ladies with a combined age of 428 have set up a company and become directors of their own care home.
I missed this.
Because they were 5 pensioners. They set up a management company, like right to manage in property. When you've got a leasehold, well, they've done the equivalent in their care home, which is a 44 apartment facility in Gloucestershire. And they were sick to death of overpaying for gardening, window cleaning, electricians, utilities, and they had no power to do anything about it. So they booted out the profiteers in the middle and set up the ability to run their, and there's 5 of them, 5 old ladies. Minnie Carter, 90, said, "It's the best thing we ever did, just for the money alone that we're saving." They can contract with local contractors who they like, who are respectful, who are cheaper, who send them Christmas cards, who care about them. It's just brilliant. 81, 85, 90, 88 and 84. Go old ladies. That's just...
I'm going to go and read that.
It's marvellous. Yeah, it's marvellous. I'll send you a link. It's so cool.
Fantastic. Well done.
Yeah.
Nicely done. So that's us for the next 3 weeks.
It is. I'll see you on I think it's the 7, 8, 9, 10th of January. Have a lovely crimbo and travel safely.
Yeah, I will. And you.
Okay.
Bye.
See ya.
How do they do it? Not a care and suffering. Wanna step into their world.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.